Right. Good afternoon, good day, good morning, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm Stephan Spijkers. I'm co-founder of PIMvendors.com, and today we're in a session here with NovoMind on the benefits, the applied benefits of AI in a production environment for product data. I'll start with a quick intro of myself and PIMvendors.com, and then I'll give the floor to Patrick and Luca from NovoMind, as that is where we're all here for. Quick background on myself. I'm the co-founder of PIMvendors.com, over 15 years of experience with product data, mainly in e-commerce, and been struggling with Excel to manage my product data for quite a long time before I finally discovered the world of dedicated solutions, including a dedicated product information management tooling. And since then, I've been advising companies on their product data processes and product data tooling and how that all should be connected to each other to provide a smooth experience for all the product data users, but also a consistent experience for all the consumers of that product data, so that whatever you're doing on all the different social media channels, your website, your app, that the prices, the product descriptions, the images, and of course the titles are all the same, and that there's no disturbing inconsistencies for the customer that interrupts their buying journey. We advise customers with the selection of the right PIM and the correct setup of that process. So if you have any questions regarding that, we offer a wide selection of solutions to choose from, and NovoMind is one of those solutions. So today we're going to discuss the AI capabilities specifically of NovoMind, and I think Patrick will give a quick intro of the company and the tooling, but we'll be focusing with Luca on the application of artificial intelligence. And I think we've all seen lots of artificial intelligence happening in and around us. And if you have been paying even half a bit of attention to your LinkedIn streams, I think you would have seen some cool party tricks with AI and some changes to profile pictures or cool generated images or some videos lately even of, well, the Pope or Elon Musk inviting you to buy some new cryptocurrency. Those party tricks is cool, right? It's amazing what AI can do. I think even in the text interface that people have, the chat interface that people explore on a day-to-day basis, I think we're all amazed by the generative capabilities. But there's so much more. And what I'm curious about is the application of all that technology and the application of artificial intelligence in these big production-ready environments. So when you're actually going to drive efficiency with artificial intelligence. And here with the onboarding from a PDF file, I think a situation many of us are very familiar with, whether you are a retailer or a wholesaler, maybe even a manufacturer, you're getting lots of PDFs from your suppliers, and you need to do something with them, store them for sure, but actually you need to read them and onboard them into your system. That's what we're going to discuss today, and that's where AI can play a big role. And I hope to see that later today from Luca and Patrick. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat on your right-hand side on LinkedIn. We'll try to weave those into the conversation. If you unfortunately need to leave us sooner than the scheduled date, that's also fine. We'll be sending a full recording with you afterwards. And if you want to, well, maybe share your AI stories as well, please do that as well. We're very curious to learn how you are applying AI in a day-to-day basis. And if you have a question that you do not want to ask in this bigger environment, in this public environment, I'll be sure to share Patrick's and Luca's contact details or LinkedIn profiles. Well, you'll probably be able to find them, but you're free to reach out to them personally as well. Now, without further ado, lots of talk about my history and background, but we're not here for that. We're here for you guys. Patrick, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Stephan, for having us here. Let's in the first place give me a short introduction on what we are doing on NovoMind and who am I. I think in the first place, I'm Patrick, based in Cologne, working for the Hamburg-based company of NovoMind. And hopefully this works now. Yeah, perfect. And I'm a pre-sales and consulting guy in our digital commerce unit of NovoMind. NovoMind does software, develops software, standard software, cloud, SaaS-based, for digital commerce on the one hand, with enterprise, full-blown PIM system, shop system, marketplace, middleware, and a lot of AI meanwhile. And on the other hand, we do customer service software, contact center software, for all the relevant channels from WhatsApp via email to maybe a letter or fax, hopefully not. Voice, obviously. And I think this combination of software products gives a very huge opportunity to do at the end a very good customer experience, to provide a customer experience to your customers on all relevant channels with perfect product data, and good experience. We are about 200 people. Biggest part of them are here in Germany and located in Hamburg. We serve nearly 300 customers on the typical Mittelstand and enterprise level. And NovoMind was founded in 2000. And since then, we developed a deep portfolio of digital commerce, customer service, and AI capabilities. And today, we want to show you in the first place a very, very sharp use case, the onboarding of PDFs, idea what can happen, AI-based in the product data domain, and then show a wider range of opportunities and tell you how we approach that challenges and how we maybe could help you with such services. Let's step into today's task. And first of all, Stephan, Luca, one question: far in the back or far in the past, do you remember what your first, let's say, IT device, digital device was?
I do know. My first one was, I guess, a typical Game Boy back in the days. A good one.
Okay.
Yeah, personally a Game Boy, but at home we had a CDI player from Philips, which was sort of bucking the trend versus the Nintendo SNES types of console. So very vintage stuff.
Okay. Yeah, good. Thanks. It seems you are even a little younger than me. I was lucky because as you were as well, but I was lucky in 1988 because my brother got a Commodore 64 in 1984, actually. He was very interested in that IT topics that early, and then I took it over from him in 88, and that was my first own digital device. And before I was sometimes allowed by him to use it as well or play with him as well, like summer games or whatever. And why that question? Because we are talking about the future and what happens now with AI, and that's so much. I wanted to look back into where, for me, at least something started. And when we talk about onboarding product data from a PDF, then I think it is a nice use case to look at such a Commodore 64 original product data sheet. Not that hard to find on the net. And to onboard that into the PIM system with our onboarding tool, iPIM Supply. Therefore, we just start into that use case hands-on within the PIM. The PIM itself at the end stores, enriches, makes the data context sensitive and so on, syndicate them. But for onboarding, we have on the first hand a supplier self-service portal where the supplier himself could onboard data to you as a merchant, as a wholesaler, or even as a producing company, as a manufacturer, if you want to have your spare parts, your raw materials, and so on the PIM as well. And if you want to do the onboarding yourself and to understand the high capability for such a system, we start with the iPIM Supply, which is our supplier onboarding tool, supplier data onboarding tool for your team. if the supplier doesn't do it himself. In Supply, it's a catalog-based onboarding tool that does generally 4 steps. It imports data from any format, it transforms them onto your house classification, your primary classification, the way and the structure you store your product information in. We have got an approval process and then a synchronization to the PIM system and the PIM database itself. With iPIM Supply, you can onboard several catalogs and let's say millions of items of products. Biggest scenarios are 9 digits, more than 100 million items onboarded with this system. Each supplier can have multiple catalogs, and today we do a very easy one, but with, as mentioned, a special adapter, special kind of onboarding system, which means we have an adapter that is just called PDF created JSON file, and the JSON file is what at the end is imported by the iPIM Supply system, and therefore after setting up very easily such a catalog, we can import a product data sheet, for example, like this. This is the original one. We've got some information, some textual information that are not very good structured if we think in a PIM structure with attributes, with list of values and so on. And on the second page, we even have some hardware packaging information like what are additional items like the printer or the cartridge drive, whatever. So we will see what we can get as structured information out of this datasheet. We just import it out of the local files, set the datasheet, and now the system will run like 30-40 seconds usually. And that gives me some time to have a short look into a second module, a second system. And that is our AI Hub. And the AI Hub is the platform where we can connect our PIM system to several services, AI services within the very modern, up-to-date AI infrastructure that is given by yourself, maybe by us if we develop a specific AI service for you, but also with the known AI services like OpenAI, Tavily, Claude, Google, Gemini, etc. And here we got one workflow which is connected to my catalog. That's the information analyst. And we have a simple prompt here that says you are an information analyst. I give you a data sheet and there's one item in it. Please find out all you can identify. Give it back as a key value structure. And back in iPIM Supply now, 28 seconds is good time. We have a result, so it's completely imported. We have one imported item, and we can have a short glimpse on it before we syndicate it. We synchronize it to the PIM itself. So we've got identified a Commodore 64 personal computer. We've got a supplier item ID for it, and if we have a look into it, we have a huge variety of attributes that are identified out of the PDF. For example, if we look back into 40, what am I talking about? 47 years ago, I think it was released in 1982. So here's the information. So 43 years ago, there was a standard memory of 64 kilobyte. We had warranty terms, for example. We have a lot of prices, and we have several prices because we have the prices of the supplementary of the additional items as well. We have a general description of the product, for example, as one attribute as well. We have the processor bits, 8 bits. I think today's webinar wouldn't be able with that hardware. So we have the information we need from the document, and in the next steps are able to bring it into our PIM system, or maybe into our ERP system if you want to import to the ERP or master data management tool. So the IPIM supply is in the first step pre-system, its own database, and can deliver the data to any system in the background that has a sufficient interface.
I have a quick question, Patrick, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
All these attributes, so cassette price and first launch and display graphics and all these things, they were defined by, they were automatically defined, right? You did not predefine the printer model, for example.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thanks. Yes, they were not predefined. So I gave it a very open request, a very open prompt, and say, give me all identifiable information. It could obviously be a very smart way to pass a structure or a list of the information you want to gain into such a prompt, into such a workflow, optimally on a API level that gets the classification information of which attributes are relevant for such a product into the prompt, and therefore get dedicated answers to your questions in the first step. And then you can even ask, okay, give me all other relevant information as well. But here I did it on a very open level, saying, give me all the information out of this document that you can gain in that situation.
And can we check, like, if you, I don't know, let's check one here, say display characters per screen, 40 columns per 25 lines. I think we just saw that on the PDF as well.
As it's a real old, so here's 40 columns, 25 lines. Regarding to the display, here I can, here's it. Yeah, here's it in the supply now. That's identified information.
Very cool.
And that means we have that display, obviously, within the main product, within the Commodore 64. And I want to show a second use case, just very similar, but with a completely different result. In this process, we just identified one item, and it could make sense to have a result saying, okay, we have a main product, we have a main item, which is here the Commodore 64, and there are some related items like a keyboard or a display or the direct access storage. And therefore I prepared another prompt just to show you how performant and how mighty also the AI service in the background is. By the way, I think I didn't mention it, but the AI service in the background is just Gemini. It's Google Gemini we use here, and prompt with this information and transfer the PDF via our adapter. And when I take this prompt into the AI hub here, then we will have a completely different result. I just do the same catalog as well, take the same file as well, but now the process looks at a completely different prompt, which says, okay, give me a list of all identifiable items with the same key value and structured result as a JSON, valid JSON, so the PIM adapter can read it. And now we will, hopefully, if it works, get a result with another number of items, not one as before. But hurry up.
And maybe as a question, Patrick, so how flexible is this? And like, can you change the model? How much proprietary prompt building or prompt engineering is in this? That's two questions, actually. Maybe start, how flexible is it when selecting the model?
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. First of all, I'm a little wondering, maybe it doesn't work now, so we would repeat it in a few seconds, but we'll wait. Regarding the model, let's have a look here. As mentioned, we are in a workflow that is aiming to Gemini. Yeah, that's really important. So the service behind it is the Gemini LLM. And within our AI hub, I can configure the prompt and the typical parameters that are given to Gemini or OpenAI with in the maybe ChatGPT area, but especially via the APIs. And here, for example, I could now within the Gemini domain switch to the other models of Gemini. And if I would like to have it via OpenAI, then I would just set up a workflow based on ChatGPT on OpenAI. And such workflows are in the available workflow section, so I could just start. But now I'm taking a little bit of Luca's part later, but then you have seen it live in the system and could now add OpenAI LLM workflow to the profile, prompt it, and so on.
I'll stop asking questions, Luca. Otherwise, you don't have anything to present.
Totally fine. Also, to your second questions, whether there are prompting mechanisms to help you, that's further on the roadmap to kind of like have a little helper guy there so that you don't have to prompt it all on your own. This is in the making, I would say, the process.
I was lucky it worked. I think we left here at 1 minute 2 seconds and it was ready in 2 minutes 5 seconds. So we have now 23 supplier items identified, and we can again look into the item list. And we have obviously a main item. Also, with the number, all the other items are somehow related, but the main item is a Commodore 64 personal computer. The result here is now a little bit tighter because we only have information on the C64 itself. We have informations, for example, on do we have any related information? We have here information on the keyboard as well, but that has a better transparency and that's really related on that product. And if we now look back, then we have the related products. So we have information on the microprocessor chip. We have the diskette drive. That's my favorite. Cause with do we find it? It's always when it's live. You can't prepare yourself. So it's down here. We have the data set. Some of you maybe remember that it needed like 20 minutes to load a game if you wanted to play it, to load it via the data set. That was when I got the diskette drive. That was a great benefit. And now we have the diskette drive as an extra item here with a 5 1/4-inch soft sector diskette drive. You could put what is it? You could scissor into them to have it used from both sides. Actually, the original ones you could only use from one side, so you double the storage of such a diskette. That was a time, but now we have all the information here from 43 years old PDF file. That's not what our customers do today. They take a PDF catalog of some 100 pages and import maybe some 1,000 items with all the information, very good structure, or bring a very big depth into the system. If you have a product data sheet with certifications and security notifications and so on, that has for one item 15 or 20 pages. All that is possible, and all that helps to onboard your product data faster, quality assured, and automated. And that enables you to put the resources you save with the onboarding, just typing of the PDF into the system, for data enrichment, for channel specific content, and so on. Yeah, that was the first live demo here, just of that PDF to item process. And that's only one use case with AI in the PIM domain. There are a lot more. Just to give you an idea, on the onboarding side, it could be image analytics, could be a connected web research, text to attribute services. We implicitly saw it here with text to attribute, because we also identified attributes out of the text in the PDF document. Then when it comes to syndicating and mapping your data within your system, you can be supported by smart classification, data mapping. On the content generation and data enrichment part, we can do a text generation and text translation. Obviously, I think that's one of the most common use cases for AI today in the PIM sphere. Content creation, including graphical topics. Meanwhile, it's just coming, and we are implementing it. The alt text generation, for example, for images is very well known and very efficient, and can be automatically integrated in your PIM system, especially in ours. And then when it comes to the syndication and to everywhere in the world and everywhere in our daily life, new marketplaces, new platforms. If Uber Eats would deliver you, for example, a new iPhone, yeah, then you have new channels. And if you have that basis of granular data, you can support those channels very agile and flexible. And that leverages your time to market. And then when we talk about new channels, let's also talk about AI-driven shopping assistants. Agentic AI for example, customer self-service, self-service companion, the typical portals enriched by AI experience, by chat experience that is AI based for your customers. And especially in the B2B sphere with autonomous commerce that also relies on very granular and quality assured product data. Yeah, and with that glimpse on more possible use cases, I would hand over to Luca, who gives you now some background on the AI Hub and on how we at NovoMind develop our AI portfolio. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Patrick, also for the first half and kind of like looking also a bit back what you played with when you were younger, shortly before my time, actually. But maybe I will also give a few words to myself, who I am. I'm Luca, and at NovoMind, based in the headquarters in Hamburg, and I am product on AI in the digital commerce area within NovoMind, so everything related to AI. And that area will be within our team. And I'm happy to share the ideas and the systems behind the AI Hub, which you already have seen. And now there are coming some more ideas what's behind it, where this will go. And maybe this also will answer some of your questions, Stephan. Or if you have some more, just jump in there. So first of all, what is NovoMind AI Hub? What is it kind of like? What do we want to achieve with it? First of all, it's for us also one central place where we have the AI solutions, where we have a unified view on all the things, which brings us as well the capability to also connect different things and participate from also other solutions which are there, so that we know what is kind of like doable and we can reuse them. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. This is just one approach. The second one was already kind of like the question, kind of how adaptable it is. Like overall, NovoMind at the moment is not competing with OpenAI or whatever, that we are now trying to build the new LLM or that we are trying to compete with them on that level. What we know and what we are good is to see the real benefit, which already in the praxis Patrick showed. And if we see there are new models, new solutions, new services, which we think are usable for us, for the use cases, for us, for the projects where we are, then we will do that. So it's constantly growing. And we will also see that we also do implement also AI models our own. As the third one, it's kind of like the orchestration, which is kind of like a word which is kind of like sometimes used, and at the beginning sometimes it's hard to grasp it really, like what is orchestration actually. And we will see an example to kind of like connect different services to make your use case tangible and usable. And at the end, it's what Patrick just showed in the UI. The idea is that whoever uses the AI Hub is in the driver's seat and can just change how Patrick just did it, try different things out, see what model works best, whether it's Gemini or OpenAI or whatever else solution, that you yourself can do it, and you don't depend on others in that regard. And to have a bit also more concrete look at it, what the AI Hub kind of like offers at the end. Let's go from the left to the right side. On the left side, it's our NovoMind products. That's the logos of them. They have a standard integration into the AI Hub, but it's not limited there. So you can have several things there that you can have also integrate ERP systems or wherever you need this. So then in the middle, the AI Hub offers 3 main use case classes. So first of all, what I mentioned is the external AI, that we don't say we are now building the next translation AI. They are profound solutions on the market. DeepL, I guess it's one of the longest service which we integrated. So this is something we do, and this is growing. For example, Google Gemini, I know who watched the news that there's now this image generation, Nano, Banana. Those are things then which will grow within the platform, so that those are, when we think they add value, then we can add them. As the second one is standard AI, so also within our NovoMind AI team, we develop solutions where, like, for example, there are no standard solutions on the market, but we know that there are some, for example, AI smart mapping to improve kind of like in IPIM supply to map the attributes which you need for your IPIM system so that it's unified. So those are capabilities which we also offer within this. And as the third one, this is NovoMind Custom AI. So we also do fine-tune models when we think the use case requires this, or that we say there's something very specific for a customer, that it has to be a custom model, then we can also offer this. So yeah, overall, we have a wide range of variety what we can do. And the orchestration means that we can have, for example, combine those different steps. Why would you want to combine those different steps? For example, in the text generation. I don't know if someone has seen this example. It was quite known back then that, for example, someone used AI to generate product descriptions. But if you don't think about it, or you just make it let it happen, it can also create headlines like this, that, for example, you have automated content, but the quality is not the one you want. So you will actually, you will gain in popularity, but probably no one will buy your product actually. So there are a bunch of examples like this, and this is actually not the result you want. A nice approach to kind of like automate it, but also if you see like down in the description product name, this is not the result you would want. So how did we tackle it? Also kind of like speaking about it, how we did it in a project together. We used the NovoMind AI Hub to exactly use this use case. Firstly, what we realized in this context to have really good product text generation, that we need more data, for example, for the best quality. So what we did in the first place is that we did an internet search to kind of like find more information. This can be done within this step, or if you want and kind of like reuse this information which you search on the internet, you do it already in the first step in IPIM supply when you look at the process, so that you can also reuse them in IPIM. But in that scenario, we did it at that moment. So firstly, we searched for very specific product on the internet. So we gained some attributes, some informations. Then we had the second step, which was then actually creating those texts on the desires of how you would want it, especially if you want on different marketplaces, it can be different. If you want to address your users in a different way on different channels, this can be the solution for it. And the third step is therefore the most important one, I would say, to really have this quality, that you have a quality assurance step in there so that you actually don't end up in the reality which I just shown 2 slides beforehand. So with this overall approach, no one actually needed to do text generation by hand anymore. So whenever, for example, Patrick imports his new Commodore, then automatically this kind of text could be generated and could be automatically then also exported into wherever you need it. So this is one example of this tangible. And what is even nicer about it, that we even have kind of like figures how this can actually make impact. So as we now have higher data quality, this also mostly people ask, like, how can I measure this? And with this example, we could achieve that like the growth and visibility was doubled and the cost just stayed basically the same. Of course, you have some for the AI part, but not as much as you would kind of like manually write them. So in that regard, it was a very good success. And that's also always our approach to actually measure the success. How can we measure it so that we actually know it is a success? Yeah. And to now kind of like give you more examples or real examples where the AI hub can come into play and what it actually is. I mean, you saw already some kind of views from Patrick, but overall, like you have now an application where you kind of like have more or less 2 main sections, let's say. So on the left side, the workflows as well as the services. And the workflows, which will be the starting point, is kind of like another translation. Others would say it's a feature, it's a use case, name it. But it can kind of like be, the workflow can combine several services as we just saw in the example before. So within the application, you see the workflows which are used for your account, for your profile. So when also if you want that others don't see, for example, this, but you want with more people to work on it, we have roles and rights on that regard. So you can see example workflows which are activated for this. And now I would like to go over, like, they are my workflow sections. Then you see the new workflows which arise, as well as the available workflows. So we have everything on one side. So also when you want to see kind of like, what else could I do? What else is out there? I could just go through it and see what is there and try it out. Try it out and also activate it or deactivate it if it doesn't suit. Test them next to each other. And now I would like to go actually to one example to just go through the different sections. So I'm now in one workflow. In this sense, it's called DeepL, and it has just an overall description. We will go one by one now through the different tabs. The configuration tab is actually the main part where all the configuration, as the name says, is happening. So you can, DeepL is also updating once in a while their settings. So if you want to use tag handling, which target language you want to have, all this, if you want to use other properties there, these are all kind of like configurable here and usable then. This is the configuration part. It looks like for every workflow, it looks a bit different, depending, of course, on the configurations which you can make. DeepL has the ability as well to use glossaries. So you can upload glossaries within this section, for example, especially for the when you're going out of the English area or the main bigger languages, there is sometimes the need for using glossaries. And it's also very highly used. So you can just use it here. As the next part is actually then the service. In that sense, this one workflow uses one service. And from here, you can actually also, when you click on the right side, you can also directly then jump to the service. What is it what you see on the service page? Here you can configure everything which is related to the service. Mostly it's just an API call or the API key. So to make an API call at the end so that the communication works. In this sense, for example, there's also the difference between the free API or the business API from DeepL. So here's also now we are on the total service overview. So you see all the services which are currently activated for you. But of course, as it's also working for the workflow section, down below you see all the available services. But let's jump back to our workflow where we want to configure the DeepL integration, and then we are on the workflow testing page. Here I brought a little video just to kind of like highlight it a bit how this can work, because the idea is actually, as I mentioned it, you can test it yourself. So that, for example, on the left side now, we have a German one, and it's now translated into English because of this property. If you don't use this property, for example, it would translate it as you configured it earlier into Dutch with use of a glossary, for example, so that you directly see and can try it out, whatever you configured, you have used in your glossary, that you can see it here. And then at the end, the AI Hub is therefore that you at the end automate processes so that you at the end can integrate it somewhere. So the last tab is then the endpoint, which is standardized, integrated. For example, what Patrick showed, that this is the URL, which is kind of like used, not this particular, but this can be then used when you configured your workflow so that you have it and can use it wherever you want. So this is the view on the AI Hub. Directly a question?
Yeah, maybe a question, Luca, like there is lots of configuration happening. So that is my question, like how many customers do you see configuring this themselves, and which percentage are you helping setting this up?
The funny part is, like, mostly customers of us are a bit like afraid at the beginning, like, oh, it's sometimes here and there, but actually it's not. It's pretty easy at the end. Like, I don't know anyone where we have to configure it. They mostly do it themselves. So that's the overall idea, that it is just like adding or press the button add to workflow, and then you have this configuration, and then you play around with it. So that's basically also the idea, that we don't have to do it, because at the end, mostly also the user itself, the business user, knows his use case the best and also wants to sit in the driver's seat. So it's actually pretty easy to configure those. Mostly then when the process overall, sometimes they have questions, but they don't necessarily need us. All right. And with this, I would go further to kind of like different use case or types of tools for the use cases, because now we have seen mostly also prompting. But of course, as most of you, and also Stephan, you have mentioned it on LinkedIn, you see a lot of different kind of AI solutions or posts about AI, what they might do. And what we figured out, like, there's a lot of hype as well around agentic AI and all this, like there will be agents which will do everything, but it's not that this part is kind of like the thing or the hammer for every nail. There are different use cases, and this fits to different solutions. So what we saw is, like, from prompt engineering is one part. It's kind of like basic, that you can also go to RAG automation, which you also have seen, as well as agentic AI, where then the AI can actually do things on their own. But yeah, all of this needs the good data integration and as well as the good UX integration. Otherwise, no one use it. But with this kind of like, we would go into further aspects, which we are also doing. But for now, I would keep it from the with the AI Hub solutions. So if you want to kind of like go further into details about the others, we can also talk about those. With the next one, I would want to kind of like show you or represent where we also kind of like coming from. So overall, at the beginning, we were really practical directly into the system. And now we're going up and up in the layer kind of to see where NovoMind AI actually is and what else is out there or could also be out there for the next years. So as Patrick mentioned, we are celebrating 25th years of founding, and we started with the founding idea actually with virtual agents. Back then, it was a bit early in 2000. It didn't match up that well, but since then we are working on, of course, then it was rule-based and also product onboarding. And then since 2021, kind of like we have the first AI product features. So since then, we are continually growing and adding values and features to the system. So the NovoMind AI Hub is the part which I showed to you, the orchestration layer, and also kind of like the infrastructure which brings those services into reality. And then we have the NovoMind AI automation platform, where we would then talk about AI agents, how we can automate things in the customer service, for example, mail automation, shopping assistant, to kind of like have this really personalized consulting within the shop. So these are then further steps which we are currently having, but a topic for another session, I would say. And overall, the view and vision is then that there will be more agents and they will be more and more autonomous. I would think, so that we will see more of them, that they also integrate with each other, so that we also, for example, see an AI agent within IPIM, for example. So these are the things which will come further down the roadmap, I would say. And why is this actually, why is all of this what we are presenting? Is this actually like reality? Is a more or not? And of course, if you look at big surveys, for example, this is from McKinsey, which shows already like by 2030, there will be 30% of the hours, today's working hours, will be automated. And this is just kind of like the beginning. It goes up. I don't know what 2080 actually will happen if you follow this graph. But what is kind of like interesting, so much is already possible today, as Patrick showed. And sometimes you don't think about it, but there's really a lot which already works. And there's even more which will come and ease in our lives, because who doesn't know, like there are too many things on the table, and actually you like to focus on the core things which you want to do, and not kind of like things which you also have to do in order to do the things you actually like. So there's a lot of potential, and this is also what we are going for, which is then, as one of the last things, very interesting to do a reality check against this. When it says 2030, it will be automated, but what is it kind of like, how does it look today and the reality which we are experiencing? And firstly, it's kind of like everyone knows I have to do something with AI. Someone told me, I read somewhere, someone, I don't know, my boss tells me I have to do something, but it's kind of like, where do I start? What is a good use case? And everyone starts something. And you pretty easily get like easy showcases. Like you can show it and it looks like, that's nice. And then you realize, but if I would want to put it into production, if I want to have a real process, if I really want to make it right on scale, then the reality sometimes is a bit different, that you really need real solutions, which are then also sophisticated and scale up from there. And there's the last point, is kind of like, sometimes this is also happening already, but when you ask then, what kind of value did it add to you? And they're like, I'm not sure about it. That's really something which we're also always looking forward, that at the end, we want to provide proper value, to kind of like see this as a chance and want to build on those use cases and bring it to life. So this is also like my closing message, which is kind of like, really together we can use those chances to really optimize even onboarding Commodoro, to do those things. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, Luca, for showing this. And thanks to Luke, Patrick, as well for the live demo of onboarding the Commodore, and see how 46 kilobytes 47 years ago was amazing, and now we run around with supercomputers in our pockets. Also interesting to see, I think it was a presentation or a document from 1987 I saw somewhere, or 1988, but the first launch of the Commodore was in 1982. Like that's a 5-year cycle. Like that would have now been like, you get a new iPhone every year, right? That's sort of the cycle we're in right now. The Commodore is a generational device. Like you use it for 5 years, 10 years. It's interesting to see how quickly that changes as well. Before we wrap up, we're almost up for time, but there is still some time for questions. So if anyone has any questions, they can use the comment section on LinkedIn. I would say if you have any questions you or you're struggling with some AI implementation issues, as Luca already mentioned, like you need to do something with AI, but what's next? I would say reach out to Patrick or to Luca. And if you might want to onboard one of your own PDFs or maybe a set of PDFs, I would say definitely reach out to them and see if you can set up a quick demo. It is amazing to see it in practice, and I think it is where we are going, right? So the AI enhanced workflows is the way to go. I'm very curious where we are in 6 months from now, or even a year, especially with all the agentic stuff coming up. And I'm very curious also what, well, the first 25 years of NovoMind brought us here. I'm very curious how the coming 25 years are going to look, especially with, I would say, the AI orchestration happening, right? So AI is definitely going to be a part of that the next 25 years, and whether we only stick at orchestration or whether there's even deeper integration, I'm very curious how that is going to proceed. Having said that, I don't see any further questions. So if you want to share your AI struggles in private, please do. If you missed a part of the presentation or of the webinar, we will be sharing the full recap with everyone. So don't worry, and please join us in, I think, 2 weeks for another session on our channel. So if you haven't done so already, please check out our company page and follow us there to stay up to date. Leaves me with thanking Luca and Patrick again. Thank you so much. And thanks to you as audience as well for sticking around with us on this Thursday afternoon. See you soon, and thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Stephan. See you soon. Bye-bye.